Today on the Trent Out Loud podcast. Say what you want about Drizzy Drake. This will be the biggest music lawsuit in history. With this lawsuit, Drake could bring down the music industry as we know it. This could be the end of major record labels. What up? It's Trent Out Loud, and I'm back with another episode. All right, it's a Wednesday morning, hump day, my third favorite day of the week. Why? Friday is only 2 days away, y'all. All right, buckle in. I have a great show for you today. I got 5 lead stories. We're going to talk about Drizzy Drake's lawsuit against Universal Music Group. We're going to talk Universal's response to Drake and Drake's second lawsuit against Universal. We're also going to talk about Donald Trump and Walmart. In quick news, we're going to talk about being very demure, very mindful. We're going to talk about Prince Harry and Wendy Williams. As always, we're going to close out this show with question of the day and a little bit of sports news. Y'all know what time it is. Turn your TVs, your radio, or your devices up. I'm about to start this show. Let's go. Our first lead story. Drake has filed a lawsuit against Universal Music Group and Spotify, accusing them of using bots, payola, deceptive business practices, and false advertisements to boost Kendrick Lamar's track, Not Like Us. All right, I'm sure most of you by now have heard about this. It did drop yesterday, but I purposely wanted to wait a day to gather some information and tell you guys the full story. One of the perks of being Canadian and have been in the music industry for the past 10 years is I have sources very close in OVO. So I reached out to a couple of guys who I know from OVO, and one of them, we had a lengthy discussion, and I have some information for you that might not be out on the blogs, okay, like directly from the source. There are a lot of different stories and a lot of different takes that you've seen online and on YouTube already. So I wanted to kind of just put them down in 8-point forms and really just focus on the issue. A lot of people are just rushing quick to be like, oh my gosh, Drake is a sore loser. He's trying to sue because he lost the rap battle. The most important thing that I would like for you to get out of this episode is that this has nothing to do with Drake losing the rap battle to Kendrick Lamar. I could promise you that, not only because I know guys at OVO and I know the way Drake thinks. I'm telling you, and I'll prove it to you, that this has nothing to do with the loss. Of course, nobody wants to have lost the rap battle, but that is so far from Drake's mind. I can't emphasize that enough, and I'm going to prove it to you in these 8 points. Okay, so. One, my first point is, even the headline that I read to you is wrong. This is not a lawsuit. This is not a lawsuit. It's a petition. It's a pre-trial saying, hey, Universal Music Group, we need evidence that you guys have so that we can bring a lawsuit forward. So what a petition is indirectly saying is, hey, we have reason to believe this, this, and this, but we need emails from you, we need text messages, and we need information that you have because we are in business together. Drake and Universal are in business together. We need that in a deposition so that we could decide if we want to move forward with our lawsuit. That is legal. So that's the first thing. It's not a lawsuit yet. It's a petition, a pre-lawsuit, okay? It's the first thing. The second thing is that Drake is petitioning Universal Music, not Kendrick Lamar. I was about to say this has nothing to do with Kendrick Lamar. It does have something to do with Kendrick Lamar, but right now at this moment, he is actually not, this petition is not towards Kendrick. He's not asking Kendrick or Kendrick's team for anything. He's talking to his parent company, Universal Music Group. Okay. Why that is important. And here is why I'm gonna explain to you what the suit is about and how it has really nothing to do with the rap battle. Okay, Drake's contract is up with Universal Music, and just to go into even more details, when you see an album coming out by a person on a record label, we all know that Drake has OVO Records. OVO Records is signed to Universal, like how Def Jam or Bad Boy Records, Young Money, they're all signed. There's only 3 major music distributors in the world. There's Universal Music, Sony, and Warner. Okay, so everybody in the music industry, Taylor Swift, I don't care, country music or whatever, they're all signed to one of those three. Okay, and you make your music, you give it to them, and they distribute it. You guys split up the profits. So in Drake's deal with Universal Music, his deal is up. His prior deal was $400 million, one of the biggest ever in history. That deal is up, and very, very, very important, Drake recouped that money for his label. I would say 95% of artists never recoup, and the music industry loses on artists. They'll sign 100 artists, they lose money on 90% of them and make their money off the 10% of them. It's like a numbers game, okay? So Drake is one of the biggest cash cows ever for Universal Music Group. He made back his $400 million. So now he's ready to negotiate with them, and he is asking for more than the 400 million. So let's say, for example, he's saying, hey, we just did the 400. Now I want 600. Universal's like, okay, we know you're one of the biggest artists ever. 600 is crazy. How about we offer you another 4? Nope. 6. I want 650. That has been going on before the rap beef with Drake and Kendrick. These negotiations were going on before. What Drake is accusing Universal Music of doing is saying, hey, we were in negotiations, which is, by the way, totally normal. Every multi-million dollar industry goes through negotiations. That is normal business practice, okay? It's Universal's job to pay Drake as least amount of money as they can, and it's Drake's job to try to get as much money as he can. That's business. So negotiations are totally fine. What Drake is accusing Universal Music of doing is saying, hey, you knew that we were in the middle of a negotiation. Kendrick and I came around now and we started our rap battle. And what you did is that you went to Spotify and other radio stations and was like, yo, we want you guys to play Not Like Us more than you're playing any of my songs so that you could devalue me as an artist. So now I don't have as much negotiating power. And now you get to only pay me $300 million. That's what this is all about. I'm trying to tell you, it has nothing to do with Kendrick and the rap battle. Yes, it has something to do with his song, but he is accusing his parent company, Universal Music, of using that song to devalue him. In the negotiations, it's, hey, I'm this number one, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I did this on tour, I just came off a tour and made $300 million, give me 600. Universal is like, well, no, now you, because of Not Like Us, you're not as popular, these streams, whatever, we're going to pay you 300. That is not legal to do. That is why Drake is suing Universal, okay? Another thing to note, a side point of number 3 is Universal is Drake's label, his parent company. If you're doing business with somebody like Universal Music, it's best, Universal should be keeping Drake's best interest at heart. For example, Taylor Swift is signed to Universal Music as well. Universal's job in their contract when you're signing is, hey, we're your parent company. We're going to do everything that's in your best interest because when you succeed, we succeed. So that's why Drake is suing them, because it's like, hey, you're my parent company. We're in business together. I found out now that you are getting into mine and Kendrick's beef, and you're no longer operating in my best interest. We know why now. It's because they want to pay him less in their contract negotiations, right? So that's another thing that Drake is coming at Universal for, is saying, hey, you're my parent company. You're supposed to be my bodyguard. You're supposed to always operate in my best interest. You trying to inflate Kendrick's numbers is not in my best interest. You're going to have to pay me for that. And you're going to have to answer those questions in court if this goes to a lawsuit. Okay. Point 4. The petition is claiming that Universal is using millions of dollars that Drake made against him, making him look bad, and in other words, have to pay him less money. So that's not a huge point, but you got to think how that feels to Drake. I just told you that Drake is one of the biggest artists Universal Music has ever had. I don't know if you guys know, but Drake's music catalog, okay, his entire catalog is bigger than 30 years of the music industry's catalog. If I'm not mistaken, it's the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So every piece of music that was created in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, Drake alone, his catalog is bigger than 30 years of the music industry's entire music catalog, including rock, pop, country, every single music ever created. That's how huge Drake is. So Drake is like, yo, I made you guys all of this money. I'm one of the biggest artists ever. So you're taking the money that I made you to pay to have Kendrick's song be boosted up so that you could pay me less money? Oh no, hell no. We're going to court over this. So imagine how Drake feels. Okay. Also in this petition, the petition claims that Drake's team has proof of payola and paying Spotify and bots. Okay. I'm going to deal with the Spotify thing last. So payola, I'm sure most of you guys have heard of that. Payola is going to a radio station. They've been accusing the music industry of doing this for years. That's why independent artists can never get anywhere. It's going to a radio station and saying, hey, I have Drake's new album. Can you please play it 25 times a day? I can't give you straight cash for that because that is not legal. But what I could do is I could buy ads at your radio station. So we'll spend $1 million at your radio station, play Drake every hour because we need to promote it. So if you get caught doing that, and that's why Drake wants text messages and emails, if you get caught doing that, that's payola and Drake can sue for that. Bots is, it's a computer software that could fake increase your numbers. You could deep dive into that. It's, Google it if you want to, but bots are, hey, you buy this computer program and you're like, hey, listen to Kendrick's song 30 million times. Now his numbers are at 30 million, increasing his views. He's saying that Universal spent, and these bots cost money. People are like, oh, it's just a bot. Bot costs millions of dollars to do. So you don't just get 30 million views for no money. You got to spend millions of dollars to get that. And Drake is saying Universal spent money that he helped them make to buy bots to inflate Kendrick's numbers again, so that he can look bad. Now, the Spotify thing, and by the way, if Drake's lawyers actually have proof of this payola and that they bought bots, this will go down as the largest, the biggest music industry court case ever. Like I said, this has been happening since the 60s and 70s, and no artist ever has ever been able to prove this or fight a record label. Prince, Michael Jackson. I could literally do, a 10 episode podcast on the music industry and payola. If Drake cracks this, it will bring down the music industry that we know exists today. Now, let me talk to you about Spotify, because Spotify is included in this. What Drake is saying, and again, if he has proof, this is crazy. Drake is saying, hey, Universal went to Spotify and said, you guys went to Spotify and said, I'm going to offer you 30% off to play Kendrick's Not Like Us. So what does that mean? Spotify and Universal, first of all, Universal owns part of Spotify. That's a whole other story. But Spotify has to pay Universal every time it plays a song, right? So if you play a Drake song, you got to pay Universal, let's say 5 cents. It's not that much. It's like a penny, but let's just say 5, for example. So when you play a Drake song, Spotify has to pay Universal 5 cents. Drake is saying that Universal went to Spotify and said, hey, every time you play Not Like Us, I know you normally have to pay us 5 cents, but you only have to pay us 2 cents. Spotify makes money from advertisers when they play that. What song is Spotify going to promote more for more people to listen to? One that they have a discount on, or one that they have to pay the full 5 cents? Obviously, they're going to play Not Like Us more because they're getting a discount. They only have to pay 2 cents, meaning that 3 cents they get to keep. If Drake can prove that, he's going to blow up the entire music industry. It's going to be totally crazy. All right. Now, my point number 7 is, now here is the craziest part. Universal is saying that they didn't do any of this. And if Drake actually has proof, he should actually sue Kendrick Lamar. And if Drake does sue Kendrick Lamar, Universal is going to join in on the suit with Drake and sue Kendrick Lamar. Crazy. Let me repeat this. Universal is saying, hey, I agree with you that all of this stuff is not legal. We know it's not legal. The whole world knows it. And if you actually have proof, they're saying we know it's illegal. We didn't do any of it. But if you have proof that somebody did do it, and who else could it be if not Universal? It would obviously be Kendrick. If it's Kendrick that did that, let us know and we'll sue Kendrick along with you. I can't even begin to dissect that, how diabolical and crazy that is. Lastly, my last point is everybody is jumping online. I started out with this. Everybody online is talking about, yo, Drake is soft. Yo, why is Drake suing? He's supposed to be street. Yo, it's supposed to be music. Guys, Drake is worth close to $1 billion. Universal Music is a multi-billion-dollar company. This is business. Lawyers and bringing people to court and ethics and all of this stuff is part of business. This is a business move. I'm telling you, this is not a move for Drake and Kendrick. If anything, this looks horrible for Drake on the music standpoint because people are like, oh, you're just a sore loser. But what I like why Drake is doing this is he's not focused on that, and he's focused on the business. He's focused on getting his contract and getting his money from Universal that he deserves. I just told you how big his catalog is. He wants his 600, 700 million. That's around, I heard, what he's asking for. They're trying to offer him 4 or even 3. So he's like, I'm going to fight. I want my contract. And plus, too, he's like, yo, you're not going to do these things. You're supposed to be my parent company. I make you money. You need to protect me. And he has decided to go against what the online and the viral talk is going to be around him and think from a business strategic standpoint. And I love that. For those of you who know my backstory, I had a sneaker boutique, a national boutique across Canada. And I was in partner with Nike for over 10 years, a multi-million-dollar partnership, a multi-million-dollar business. And couple of years ago, I had issues with Nike similar to Drake where I felt like, hey, we've been in business for 10 years. You're Nike, I'm EXCLUCITY. We have done stuff jointly. You've done stuff for me. I've done stuff for you. This is a partnership. And I feel like they weren't having my back in certain things, which I won't get into. I literally wrote a book about it. And I felt like Nike wasn't having my back and I got my lawyers involved. That's what business people do. When two businesses are talking and they are not seeing eye to eye, the next logical step is going to your lawyers and maybe going to court. That's how this whole world works. So I take my hat off to Drake for doing that. I won my case with Nike, my argument with Nike, and I hope that Drake pulls it out. These Fortune 500 companies feel like because they're Fortune 500 companies and billion-dollar companies that they could bully these smaller, that they could, have their way with these smaller companies. So I'm going to stand up for myself, and I like that Drake is standing up for himself, if that makes any sense to you guys. So that's it. I hope I was able to kind of just get around the noise of everything and just give you guys really the crux of the situation. If things sounded complicated or whatever, things that you heard before, the thing that I want you to take out the most from this is this has nothing to do with Drake losing the rap battle. Please don't comment that. Don't say that. This is business. This is about money. And if you were a businessman and you felt like your parent company, who you made billions of dollars for, or didn't have your best interest at heart, you would do the exact same thing. Our second lead story, Universal Music replies to Drake. Universal Music has responded to Drake's claim about the alleged and artificial inflation of Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us. A rep for Universal Music Group told Variety the suggestion that Universal Music Group would do anything to undermine any of its artists is offensive and untrue. We employ the highest ethic practices in our marketing and promotional campaigns. No amount of contrived or absurd legal argument in this pre-action submission can mask the fact that fans chose the music they want to hear. Lessen, that is common practice. When I had my lawyers send Nike a letter, regardless if they're guilty or not, they're going to send a legal letter back and be like, yo, that's not true. Everything that Trent's saying is not true. That's what you do until you come to a common ground. Somebody tweeted out that they said, this battle is between Drake and Lucian, not Lucian, who is the CEO of Universal Music Group, not Kendrick Lamar. That was Mal from Rory and Mal, okay, a popular podcast for those who don't know. Somebody else, so shout out to Mal basically for that. And somebody else also tweeted this that I thought was really interesting that I want you guys to hear, okay? Drake may lose the internet and the rap fans at the moment, but this lawsuit has potential to have ramifications that will benefit all artists in the music industry. That's exactly what I told you guys before. That being said, both Kendrick and Drake have been the beneficiary of label DSP pushing their music. A tactic done by labels aren't mutually exclusive in this case. Drake seemingly could be the pot calling the kettle black, but what he's looking to dismantle could theoretically hurt him in the long run. $1 billion potential lawsuit is nothing to scoff at, but it is about the unwritten common practices of the music industry being unearthed and hopefully finally being put to rest. So it's pretty much what I said, so I won't have to dissect that. You guys know, just letting you know that some other people are saying similar things to me. And the one thing that I will highlight there is when he said that's the pot calling the kettle black, he's referring to the fact that if Universal had done this for Kendrick, and like I told you about Payola, they've done this for Drake too in the past, so this can hurt Drake if this is, you know, unearthed, as the word he used. And I don't agree with that, because Drake is not saying, hey, you did this like to sell his album and you didn't do it to sell mine. He's saying, yeah, basically like, yeah, you did this for us. Like you did this for Kendrick's album. You did that for my album. That's not the problem. Drake is saying, you chose to do this on this one song only because we're in negotiations. So Drake is like, look, we know what's going on in the music industry, but I'm ready to expose all of it because you're literally just trying to do this only because we're in negotiations right now. So I'm ready to take down the whole music industry just for the fact of you wanting to save a couple $100 million. So it's not really the pot calling the kettle black, because he's not saying that they're doing this to promote Kendrick's album and just his album just in general. They're saying, hey, this particular song, you're doing this just for the contract. But I understand what this guy is trying to say. But anyways, that was Universal's reply. We shall see what will come of all of this. Our third lead story. Oh, you thought we were done with Drake? Nah, he filed a second lawsuit against Universal Music. Drake files a second action against Universal Music Group, claiming they should have halted Not Like Us because of the defamatory lyrics. No, Drake ain't playing around. Drake ain't playing around with Universal Music Group. Yesterday, he filed an action against the company and Spotify, claiming they were running a scheme against him to boost Kendrick's Not Like Us using false practices and bots. Well, today, Drake is filing another action against Universal, claiming they should have halted the release of Not Like Us because of the defamatory lyrics against him. As you guys know, Not Like Us, Kendrick Lamar was calling him the P word, all right? A word that I cannot say on YouTube, but I'm sure you guys know what it is. According to Billboard, Drake filed the lawsuit in Texas, claiming that Universal Music Group funneled payments to iHeartRadio as a pay-for-play scheme to promote Not Like Us on the radio. Also in the filing, Drake says UGK knew the lyrics in the song were defamatory and false, accusing him of being a P-word, but they decided to release the song anyways. Universal Music Group could have refused to release or distribute the song and required the offensive material be edited and removed, the lawsuit says. But Universal Music Group chose to do the opposite. UMG, Universal Music Group, designed, financed, and then executed a plan to turn Not Like Us into a viral mega hit on the internet, using the spectacle to harm Drake and to drive customers away from him, resulting in massive revenues. Drake's lawyers say they already have enough evidence to pursue a claim of defamation against Universal Music Group, and they might also add claims of civil fraud and racketeering based on information they gather through these filings. Drake, I honestly love that he's doing this. Say what you want about the rap battle, that he lost, this, whatever, blah, blah. But like I told you guys on the rap battle side, that's one thing. From a business side, I love that he's filing a second lawsuit. I love that he filed his first one, and he is coming for Universal Music Group. At the end of the day, Universal should have stayed out of this. If he is claiming is true, they should have stayed out of it. Kendrick is signed to Universal. Universal, Drake is signed to Universal. They should have stayed out of it. They should have just paid Drake his money. And that's really what this is all about. And at the end of the day, if you're signed to a parent company, they're supposed to watch out for you and have your best interests at heart. If Universal did any of this, they did not have Drake's best interests at heart. One of the biggest cash cows in music history. And I agree with Drake filing this lawsuit. Our fourth lead story, Trump declares a 25% tariff on Mexico and Canada. He says it's time to pay a big price. President-elect Donald Trump is ramping up his plans to address illegal immigration and trafficking, announcing significant tariffs on Mexico and Canada and China. In a post on Truth Social, Trump outlined his approach to combat what he describes as an invasion at the southern border. I'm going to read to you his post on Truth Social, and then I'm going to give you guys a perspective that you might not be thinking about, okay? Trump wrote this: as everyone is aware, thousands of people are pouring through Mexico and Canada, bringing crime at levels never seen before. Right now, a caravan coming from Mexico comprised of thousands of people seems to be unstoppable in its quest to come through our current open border. On January 20th, as one of my many first executive orders, I will sign all necessary documents to charge Mexico and Canada a 25% tariff on all products coming into the United States and its ridiculous open borders. This tariff will remain in effect as such time until all the invasion on our borders stop. Both Mexico and Canada have the absolute right and power to easily solve this long-stemming problem. We hereby demand that they use this power, and until such time they do so, it's time for them to pay a very big price. Okay, not saying that this is not bad, but if you read the tea leaves and you read between the lines, Donald Trump is not saying that he wants to put this 25% tariff for the next 10 years or because it has anything to do with import and export. He's saying, yo, stop all the stuff at the border, which is one of the things I ran on, and one of the things that America, whether you're left or right, agree on. Until you guys stop this, you're going to have to pay 25%. So all Canada has to do, and I can't talk about Mexico, but all Canada has to do and all Trudeau has to do is put more border security and stop whatever is coming in at the border from coming in at the border, and we won't have to pay that 25% tariff. So, as I always say, I'm not a Donald Trump supporter. I'm not a Joe Biden or Kamala Harris supporter. We're an independent podcast, but I do understand how business works, and I do understand how negotiations work. And Donald Trump said this. He's like, listen, I do not want to use these tariffs against China, Mexico, Canada, whatever. I don't want to use this because he knows that that will actually hurt his economy, because that 25% coming in, the person or the company who's bringing it in is just going to charge that on the US. It will hurt our economy. It will hurt their economy. But he's saying, hey, the biggest thing that's hurting our country is the border. So you guys can sound off below what you think about this if you do like the idea of tariffs, but I just want everybody to understand that he's not saying that, hey, I think this is the best thing for all of us. He's saying this is the best thing for the border and for you guys to listen. Again, like the Drake and Kendrick, this is a business negotiation, and Trump is just using this to be tough because 70% of Canada's export goes to the US. If you stifle Canada's export, you stifle Canada. So you want Canada to do something, you threaten their export. It's just business, whether you like it or not. And one thing you can't deny, the border crisis in the US is something that almost every American agrees on and feels like it's a problem. So sound off below, send me emails, trenoutloud@cfpr600.com. Let me know what you think. But our fifth quick story, Walmart scales back DEI efforts following pressure from conservatives. Walmart, the nation's largest retailer, has joined a list of companies pulling back on their diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives following pressure from conservative activists. Walmart confirms to AP News that it will not renew its racial equity center. Conservative commentator Robbie Starbucks has been calling out corporations with DEI policies on social media. Following Walmart's news, he stated, "This is the biggest win yet for our movement to end wokeness in corporate America." Other major companies, including Ford, Tractor Supply, Lowe's, and Harley Davidson, will reduce DEI efforts. In a statement, the company said, "We have been on a journey and we know we are not perfect, but every decision comes from a place of wanting to foster a sense of belonging, to open doors to opportunities for all our associates, customers, suppliers, and to be a Walmart for everybody." All right, here is where you get a little sticky. Now, I literally have just been talking to you for the past 20 minutes about business, and this is a business move. However, I think there's an asterisk beside it. Let me tell you why. That last sentence there is Walmart's trying to be a company and a Walmart for everybody. So they're basically saying, hey, when DEI was the cool thing, no problem. You know, you're talking about DEI, inclusive. Everyone's talking about that. We all know because of what happened in 2020, all these movements, all these protests. We're going to follow suit. Everybody wants DEI. Now that this conservative movement is coming back in and politics are getting involved and they're saying, hey, we don't want all this woke ideology and all this blah, 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 blah. Now, certain companies, like I just listed, are like, hey, we're not going to do that anymore. We're not going to be for DEI. When you try to be a company for everybody, that's when you're going to end up being a company for nobody. I feel like a company, although you have to think about your profits and doing business, when it comes to DEI, that's something that has to do with ethics. And every company has to have an ethics policy. And I think if you are a company or a CEO or an owner and you feel like women, people of color, etc., have had a disadvantage in the 40s, 50s, and 60s and 70s, which we all know about, and you want to make it a point to say, hey, in our company, we want to try to level out the playing field. That's something that we are going to do for our company. That's how you build a brand, and you have to stick to that. That being said, there's a lot of people who don't like DEI because they feel like it's not a level playing field. To those people, and I know people are going to sound off and drag me in the comment section below, DEI or any of these initiatives, it's not about a system saying, hey, we're going to take any person of color and make them the CEO just so that we can level the playing field. No, it's saying there is one person who has 100% on this exam and another person of color who has 100%. They're both equally qualified. Well, because we have 10 white people in our C-suite branch, from the CEO to the CFO, the CMO, the COO, and all C-suites are all white men, we're going to find a white woman of equal qualifications and put her in there so that our cabinet could be a little bit more diverse. That's all DEI is. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Of course, conservatives I don't agree with that. And we all know why. So, like I said, sound off below, but that's just my thoughts on DEI. Like I said, I understand business, but I feel like every business has to have some sort of ethics and some sort of belief that they stand in, and that will guide you through your journey. And you cannot just keep flipping on flopping depending on who's in power and what is cool for the time, because you're going to end up just losing everybody. All right, this brings us to quick news. Ring my bell. Prince Harry shamed by the internet after his shaky relationship with Meghan Markle. All right, after Meghan Markle announced that her relationship with Prince Harry wasn't stable, the internet quickly shared their thoughts about it. Some blame Harry for being foolish with his decision, and some blame her. All right, I'm not going to go into the tit for tat, but one person wrote and said he sacrificed generational wealth for all of this to end up just getting a divorce. And the New York Post posted and said, Meghan Markle released a statement after a solo Thanksgiving appearance amid a professional separation. So there's a little buzz going on and people are tearing apart Harry. Listen, the boy was in love, man. You know what I mean? If he wants to, leave the royal family, feel like they did treat her right? I know my mom literally goes off on this, and I'm sure she's watching now, and I'm sure she's probably gonna maybe even comment below about on this. But yes, my mom watches every single one of my episodes. All right, shout out to mom. But yeah, I mean, look, people have done things like this for love before. Hey, I met you. You live in the US. I live in Canada. Let's move. Let's do this. It's just more amplified the fact that he was part of the royal family and left the royal family. At the end of the day, Prince Harry was always going to be under William. He's never going to be king. He's the second son born. So not only do I think that he left just for Meghan, but I think he left because he wanted to leave anyways. He can have more for himself leaving the royal family, moving to LA, trying to be in the music business, in the movie business, than he would being part of the royal family. Being part of the royal family and being, the second child is not all that fun. So if you follow him or you know about him, he was wilding out and doing stuff before he met Meghan. I think Meghan was just love, and he just was like, hey, I already wanted to leave. This is just more of an excuse. Let's go to the US and let's try to be famous. Looks like it's not working out. The whole Netflix deal didn't really pan out that well, and the marriage did not work out that well. But I don't think you blame Meghan for all of this. But sound off below and let me know what you think. Our second quick story. Very Demure named as the word of the year by dictionary.com. On Monday, dictionary.com selected demure as a term popularized by TikTok creator Jules LeBron as the 2024 word of the year. The word gained viral popularity after TikTok creator Jules LeBron used it in a series of video accompanied by the phrase very demure, very mindful. I'm going to play a little clip and then I'll read you the rest after. Take a listen.
You see how I do my makeup for work? Very demure, very mindful. A lot of you girls go to the interview looking like Marge Simpson and go to the job looking like Patty and Selma. Not demure.
Dictionary.com said, the word of the year isn't just a popular usage. It reveals the story we tell about ourselves and how it changed over the years. And for this reason, Dictionary.com word for 2024 is demure. According to ABC News, the word gained popularity in August, leading to a remarkable 1,200% increase in messages in mentions across digital media. Additionally, Google Trends reported that the search of demure spiked nearly 14 times during the week of August 18. LeBron previously shared on Good Morning America that her viral fame has gotten her financial stability, enabling her to support her family. The Chicago native mentioned that she was able to move her family to a safer area with better housing. Additionally, she says she plans to trademark the name and is currently in possession of securing very demure, very mindful. Our third quick story. All right, this is like the saddest thing ever, man. Wendy Williams declared permanently incapacitated following dementia diagnosis, court document from her guardian reveal. This is literally heartbreaking, man. I love Wendy. Wendy Williams' legal guardian, Sabrina, gave a heartfelt update about the star's health struggles in a new document. In a recent submitting in a case against Lifetime over the controversial Where is Wendy Williams, the docuseries, the case reported and said, Wendy, an acclaimed entertainer who tragically has been affected by an early onset of dementia and as a result has become cognitively impaired and permanently incapacitated. The suit also went on to say, we respectfully request that the court grant plaintiff motion for limited redaction to protect non-public information from the guardianship proceeding that has been placed under seal by the court overseeing that proceeding. So this goes back to the Lifetime documentary of her family suing Lifetime, saying they shouldn't put out this documentary, and it put out Wendy in a bad light, and she didn't really realize what she was doing. We did talk about this a couple of months ago, and I hope they win this case. It's just a really sad thing, man. If you guys know Wendy, it's just sad to see Wendy like this. I don't even know what to say, honestly. Like, it's just really, really sad. Our fourth quick story. Donald Trump reacts to his election interference case being dropped. He said over $100 million of taxpayers' money was wasted. All right, let me read you this quickly because I'm a little low on time. We did talk about this yesterday, by the way. Jack Smith says that the case against Donald Trump for the election interference, he's dropping all of it. And he said in his statement, I just want to make clear, I'm only dropping it because Donald Trump is now the president-elect and will be the president January 20th. But I would just like to make clear, we have all the evidence, we have all the proof of all 4 charges. He would have been found guilty, and we have every piece of evidence to prove it. I'm just dropping it because the DOJ cannot sue the president because the president is a boss. If you guys want more details about it, check out episode 384. But in response to that, Trump came out and said this. He said, these cases, like all the others that have been forced to go through, are empty and lawless and should have never been brought. Over $100 million of taxpayers' money has been wasted in the Democrats' fight against their political opponent, me. Nothing like this has ever happened in our country before. They have used the state's prosecutors and district attorneys such as Fannie Willis and her lover, Nathan Wade, who has absolutely zero experience in any cases such as this, but was paid millions for them to take numerous trips and cruises around the globe. Letitia James, who inappropriately, unethically, and probably illegally campaigned to get Trump in order to win political offers, and Alvin Braggs, who himself never wanted to bring the case against me, but was forced to do so by the Justice Department and the Democratic Party. Basically, what Donnie is doing is flexing his muscles. He's like, yo, this was all a sham. This was all of this. Donald Trump, yo, this is only because you're president. If you would have lost the election, all of these cases would have been brought against you. And just to be clear, he was found guilty by a jury of his peers. People are forgetting about that, but it's all thrown out because he's president. This makes me laugh. Again, people are going to now Trumpers are going to sound off in the comment section and be like, oh my gosh, Trent's a Democrat, Trent's for the Democratic Party. No. As I always say, I just talk facts, yo. When the Democrats do something that's ridiculous, I call it out. And when Republicans do something, for Trump to be getting on here and saying these things, I mean, it's what he's supposed to do, to be honest with you. You're supposed to act like you're not guilty. But, bro, you were already found guilty not by the Democratic Party, a jury of your peers, 12 peers found you guilty. So anyways, man, Trump's winning. He won the election. He won't face anything. But like I said, and nobody actually even commented about this yesterday, please somebody let me know what's going on with the Fannie Willis case, because that is a state case, the case in Georgia where he was trying to find 11,000 more votes. What's going on with that case? Can he avoid that case because he is now the president-elect and will be the president? I don't know. I'll try to Google it and let you guys know tomorrow. Or please, somebody help me out and comment below. All right, this brings us to question of the day. All right, I think this might be the best question of the week. What's the most disrespectful thing somebody could do at somebody else's house? All right. No Escape 82 said, bring uninvited people. I totally agree with that. That is actually very disrespectful. Text somebody and say, hey, I'm going to bring 2 other people. You can't just show up with extra people, especially if it's dinner. And not only if it's dinner, maybe I don't want those other people who I don't know seeing my house and knowing how I live. Very disrespectful. The Cam 92 said, walking in and don't speak. Okay, I mean, who would actually do that? Kim 333 says, wander around your house without permission, especially your bedroom. 100% disrespectful. I will close up all the doors. Don't open doors in my house that are closed. That's very disrespectful. Totally agree. Somebody said, bring uninvited people. All right, we said that. 2 things, wearing your shoes in my house and walking in and not speaking. Who walks into someone's house and doesn't speak? I think maybe what they mean by that is like, let's say you have maybe a gathering or a party and you don't come and say hi to the host. I think maybe that's what people are saying. But and the shoes thing, 100% no shoes in my house. Nope. Yeah, no shoes in my house. Somebody says dookie and not flushing. I mean, that's just disrespectful anywhere. That's disrespectful even in your own house if you live with other people. But yeah, that's nasty. Somebody says touch my thermostat. Totally agree. Somebody says, okay, I can't read that. Somebody says, go through my drawers or cabinets when they are using the restroom. 100% disrespectful. Not only the restroom, but just any drawers. My friend does that. I mean, he's my best friend, so it's fine. But it bothers me that he'll come to my house. Like, he literally will come in and start, like, opening drawers and looking. I'm like, yo, what are you doing? Like, opening my drawers. Totally disrespectful. Somebody said, come invited. Totally agree. Somebody said, show up unannounced because they were in the neighborhood. Now, that was back in the day. That was a back in the day thing, people dropping in. I actually kind of missed that. I remember being a kid, like my aunts and uncles and cousins would drop by. I actually think that's kind of cool, but I do understand how that's a little invasive, depending on who you are, but it's invasive. I was doing things, you know? Somebody said, go in the fridge, 100%. But that's also depends. If you're a family, you go in. If you're even a friend, like I don't care if my friends, I actually feel the reverse. I'm going to disagree with this. I actually feel a little bit insulted if my friends don't feel comfortable enough to open my fridge. Yo, we're friends, man. Like open the fridge, go in there. You're fine. Somebody said, come over. Somebody says, go in the bathroom and rearrange the toilet paper holder in the correct way. 100%. My toilet paper cannot be from the bottom side. It has to roll from the top side. Don't change around my toilet paper. All right. Somebody says take a shower in the middle of a party. All right, who would do that? All right. I think we had some good ones here. Somebody says knock on the door. Leave something in the toilet. Come uninvited. No manners. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. I think really somebody says clog the toilet. Yo, that's hilarious. All right, I thought this was a really good one. If anybody could think of anything else, I'm running low on time. I wish I could read more, but I thought this was a really good question of the day. Let me know if I haven't read anything. What is something that somebody could do in somebody else's house that you think is very disrespectful? All right, this brings us to sports news. I don't have a headline in sports news, so what I'm going to do is remind you guys that it's Thanksgiving week coming up in the U.S. Actually, it is tomorrow, Thursday and Friday. We're going to have great football. So we're going to have football Thursday and football on Friday. And y'all know who's playing. My Kansas City Chiefs are playing the Raiders. So make sure y'all tune in. All right. That was your sports news. That we get football 3 days this week, or no, 4 days. Yeah, because including on Monday. All right, that's it for the show. Thank you so much for kicking with me. Make sure you tune in for tomorrow and Friday's show. Before I let you go, I just want to remind you guys of all the ways to keep up with the Trend Out Loud podcast. If you're used to watching this show on YouTube or on podcast platforms, please try to check me out Monday through Friday on CFQR600.com from anywhere in the world or 600 AM in the Montreal area. We do play the Trend Out Loud podcast, but we also mix in 90s and 2000s hip hop and R&B. It's a great way to get your entertainment and viral news while listening to your favorite hits from the 90s and 2000s. It's a great hour. Trust me. Check me out. Now, vice versa, if you can't always catch a show between 11 and 12, we get it. You're busy. You got things to do, Zoom calls, kids, you're in a relationship, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to give you 3 ways to keep up with the show, okay? First, on CFQR 600's website, when you click Listen Live, you'll see another button that says Listen On Demand. Just click that there, and all 385 Trend Out Loud podcasts will pop up. Listen as your heart desires. Also, there's YouTube, which you already all know. Check us out on there. There's also any podcast platform. Just go to your desired site, type in Trend Out Loud. The show will pop up. Don't forget to hit the follow and subscribe button so that you can be notified every time we upload a new show. And just like on YouTube, we upload on podcast platforms daily. You can check me out on any social media. It's always the same handle, Trend Out Loud. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, the production company on Instagram, EXCLUCITY Media. And lastly, for those of you who tuned in to CFQR 600 right now, do not touch that dial. My homeboy is coming up from 12 to 1. Don Smooth, we give you the knockout punch. I'm on at 11. He's on at 12. It's the best 2 hours in Montreal radio, man. My boy, Don Smooth, man. Yesterday, he dropped a wicked reggae mix. I was like, yo, this is the mix of the week, bro. Anyways, don't touch that dial. Don is coming up, dropping the hits, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It's your boy, Trend Out Loud. Peace.